Okay, now clap.
Oh,
Yeah. Sorry.
That's what you
Thunder.
get. That's what you get.
I'm out of practice. It's been a few weeks.
Okay, we're ready to do this?
Yeah. Oh, I'm gonna have a drink.
I like how you announced it.
Did you see my mug?
I did. Where'd that come from?
Cali. Probably China though.
Yeah.
China.
Well, yeah. China. Okay, let's do this. Yeah?
Yep.
It's been a bit.
It has.
Yeah.
Can't hear
He's
you.
just vibing. He can't, his headphones aren't working. He can't even hear anything. He's just.
Yes.
Oh, good. You didn't say anything.
How are the lip reading skills?
Excellent.
Good. That's what I'd like to hear.
Which is creepy. If you
Yeah.
know that, that's creepy. Like, that's like voyeurism.
Yeah.
Just watching from afar.
It's an acquired skill. Lots of time spent staring in windows when people don't know that he's there.
I like that. Well, okay. Gotta do what you gotta do, I guess. There's a hair on my mic that's
see it.
literally floating and then jabs me in the nose. Wow. This is starting off as a disaster.
Yeah.
Yeah, normal. Yeah.
normal.
Yeah. Okay. Well, here we are. It's been a bit, huh?
Mm-hmm. Yep.
I guess I'll do the intro.
Absolutely.
For the people watching or listening that haven't heard or watched this before, this is the Fit4moto Podcast. We talk about all things moto, some off-road stuff even.
Yeah. Good stuff.
Some fitness, some lifestyle, some training, some nutrition.
Fashion.
I guess. I mean, I'm not much of a fashionista, but
Oh, the jerseys. Yeah.
I guess.
Yeah.
Blood implants. We cover everything.
Yeah. And it's been a bit since we've done one of these. We've been a little tied up with racing and things of that nature, which is kind of what this episode is about, right?
Yeah.
Which is what are we talking about here? Why have we not done a pod in a while?
We went for a drive.
We sure did. Yeah, it was a drive and a half for sure, man.
Yes.
Where'd we go? What did we do?
We went to Cali. World Vet Motocross Championship.
Yeah, we did.
Yeah.
Now, I think that like that title in and of itself is kind of cool, but I feel like there's something a little more significant with your place in that event.
Oh yeah, it was my first race ever.
Yeah.
Ever.
Yeah. First time ever doing a gate drop in real life.
Dude,
And lines up at the World Vet Championships.
What was I thinking?
Gangster. That's gangster. I don't even know what else to say. That's gangster.
Thanks.
I like it.
Thank you.
Now that it's all done and dusted and we can look back and we'll just laugh about it. You know what I mean? But I do feel like at the time I was looking at you going, what the fuck is he doing?
Me too.
So you got a big set of balls on you.
Thanks.
But it paid off because you handled it like a champ.
Yeah, it was fun. Learning experience for sure.
Yeah. But dude, you've never ridden anything like that. You've never been exposed to anything like that. But like the hills and stuff, dude, like gnarly, huge. I mean, they're Glen Hill and downhills. Anyone who's familiar at all with Glen Hill and will know what kind of hills we're talking about. You'd never attempted anything like that on a motorcycle ever.
No.
And away you went.
that
First
hill was
time, no
massive.
problem. Like I have video of it. You went up and down that, no problem.
Not very fast, but up and down.
You went up pretty fast.
Yeah,
think
that
I
was
went
pretty quick.
Down faster than up.
You
And that's
have-
scary.
You have to go fast going up to make it to the top, right? Because it is steep enough that if you stop directly on the hill and try to get going again, which I did, by the way, it's not easy. Like it is a pretty steep hill. So kudos.
Oh, thanks.
Yeah. So tell me about it. What are your thoughts?
What are my thoughts? Oh, geez. There's a lot going on there. I wish I had more time. I wish I could have prepared and trained a little bit better. Yeah, there was just so much there that I hadn't experienced. So, yeah, just wish I had more experience before I went there, but it was still fun to go and do it.
Yeah, for sure. And the cool part is that like next year, you're not starting from zero. You'll be able to go, okay, this is what I need to work on, or this is what I experienced there, and then carry that into the next
Totally.
one.
I now know what I can tailor my training and riding to, so that it'll better serve me next year.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. Plus we got some cool swag,
Yeah.
right? The mugs. Yeah, we got some cool mugs and some cool posters and stuff like that.
Did you guys get t-shirts?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Oh, and he's even wearing it. Look at him.
Oh, wow.
He went full committed. What happened to you? Where were you?
Yeah.
No,
Wait,
you.
I was washing everyone's bikes.
Yeah, this is true.
Yep.
Yeah.
Oh man, Tyler was the best. What would you call him? Mechanic guy.
Factory mechanic. That's what I would
Yeah.
call that. Factory mechanic.
So I have no idea what it feels like to be a pro in anything, but I think that weekend was the closest I'll ever get. So coming off the track, having some dude just grab the bike, go wash it, top it up with gas, make
That
sure
was
everything's
amazing.
Yeah, there was a point where he's wiping our helmets down and goggles
Yeah.
and like
Yeah.
that was next level, dude.
Yeah, it was next level.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you. Also do better, but also
Yeah.
thank you. But mostly do better.
Yes.
And by do
Try
better, I mean,
harder, do better. It kept my nerves down.
So next year we're gonna have to make it like a team thing where, right, if Tyler's riding and he comes off, then one of us will have to grab the bike and do his helmet and whatever, and then we'll just rotate through it.
for sure.
Yeah, that'll be wicked.
That'll be awesome to have you riding next year.
Yes.
New
I'm excited.
factory edition KTM, I heard.
Ooh.
Yeah, you're gonna get off my wallet.
Yeah, that's wicked. So tell me more about it. Like growing up around the sport and stuff. Some of that stuff is somewhat familiar to me. I mean, honestly, like for the people that haven't heard much about it, there was 1,100 riders that signed up for this event.
Yeah.
1,100. Like, and if you have no context, a big race around here is 400 or 500. That's a big event around here. So 1,100, I think anywhere, honestly, is a huge turnout.
It was massive. There were people everywhere.
Yeah.
So in my race, there were 41 people.
Yeah. That's a full gate. So
It was packed.
yeah. Which is really, really cool. Like that you got, but for me, like I said, some of that is somewhat familiar to me. I'm used to racing. I'm used to lining up on the gate and that kind of stuff. But for you, that's a totally new experience, right? So like I don't remember, actually that's not true. I do remember my first race, but I don't remember intimately the feelings that I had lining up. I'm sure I was nervous and all of these things, right? But I mean, dude, that was back in like 93. So you know what I mean? Like it's not, I forget the real nitty gritty details about it, but what's your experience with that? Like your first event lining up
So
there?
super nervous. So we'll start getting in the lineups. I was so worried because there were so many bikes and the three little narrow pathways that you had to go down. I was worried I was going to bump into somebody.
You're talking like the staging?
Yeah, the staging. And it was nice. It was nice because I saw some other people tip over. I'm like, okay, well, if they tipped over, that's okay.
Yeah.
But even just the staging was stressful getting up there because there were so many people. And then being on the gate with 40 other guys, just felt super nervous, very claustrophobic. It looked like everyone knew what they're doing, and I was the only one who had no idea what was going on.
Right. But you did find out, though, that wasn't the case, right?
Yeah.
Because you went out and watched some other classes or whatever, some other races, some motos, and found that there's some guys that are at a probably comparable skill level.
Yeah, definitely.
Right? And that's one of the things that I think is really cool and about an event like that. It's just that you get everyone from the newer riders all the way up to some legit legends in the sport, right? Like Jeremy McGrath was there. Crazy legends of the sport. And I think that's super, super cool because, McGrath is cool. And yes, he's done some cool stuff and he can ride a dirt bike. But I feel like the roots of motocross, the guys that you're going to see out just doing laps on the weekend or something, right? Those are the people that really keep the sport going, right? Because without the roots, I mean, it's not going to go anywhere.
Oh, for sure.
So I think that's one thing that's really cool about like an event like that is just the ability to see all those different skill levels. So I would say if there's someone who's listening to this or watching this that is like, oh, I've, thought about it, or maybe you've never thought about it or whatever, I would say like, I would encourage you to consider doing it if you can, if you have the means to get down there and race it. Because it's just a really, really cool experience, regardless of whatever your skill level is,
And that doesn't just apply to this event too. Like if I can get out there and get racing, anybody can. Yeah. So whether it's local races or a big race like that, I say go for it.
Yeah, totally. Yeah. I think at an event like that, like the vets and stuff, yeah, it's super competitive because it's the Worlds or whatever, right? But at the same time, it's vet riders who are like, oh, I have to go to work on Monday, so I'm not going to just send it into somebody to win either, right?
Exactly.
There's a couple
Yeah.
guys there for sure. There are. There are at every event that you go to. But I do feel like they're a little more measured, right? Whereas if you go to like a local race, you go into like the 250 junior class and it's madness, right? Madness.
Yeah. One thing that I felt with my race was I felt safe the entire time. I wasn't riding as hard as I possibly could, but man, there was nobody on the track that was trying to jump over me or, railing me in corners. It felt very safe, very controlled, at least
Yeah.
for my class.
Right. Yeah, yeah. And that's cool, right? You should feel like some level of that, I think. Yeah. What sorry, go ahead, Ty.
How was your actual first gate drop like? Did you poop yourself?
No, I don't know.
No, he got all that out long before, bud.
Yeah, definitely. The nervous porta potty trips prior to that. Yeah, it was a really cool experience to be able to do a gate drop with that many people. Like we practiced a few over the previous weeks, and just having 2, 3, 4 guys out there isn't quite the same as an entire packed gate.
Like 40 some people.
Yeah, it was pretty cool.
Yeah. So what do you think, like, okay, so what I experienced, Ty, tell me if you feel the same way too. I find like when the gate's about to go, and I've gotten better at this, but I feel like it's, nervous. And then when a gate drops and you're through the first corner, then the nerves kind of are gone away and you're just kind of focused on what you're doing at the time. Did you find that?
Absolutely. Yeah. A couple turns in, I just kind of realized, I'm out dirt biking, and it wasn't as packed as I thought it would be. It kind of spread out a little bit, so I wasn't surrounded by people. Then I was able to just focus on myself and racing myself.
Yeah. Did you win yourself?
No, you got me.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, that's do you find that too, Tyler? Like, where you're just kind of nervous, and then when the gate goes, you're done. Like, it kind of goes away.
No, I don't really get nervous going up to the gate or anything. I'll get nervous like if I get the whole shot, and then I'm like, oh crap! Like
Now what?
now I gotta like piece everything together. That's when I get nervous. But if it's just the gate drop, I'm always calm for some reason.
Right.
And so that gives me so much more respect for the whole shot now. Like lining up with that many other people, and you being the first one into that corner or wherever it is, like that takes some skill and some serious work.
Yeah.
get to
For
that
sure.
point.
Yeah. I mean, they're definitely, unless you get lucky and you just happen to time it just right or something, right? You've probably done a few starts in your day and kind of got the system down pat for sure. Yeah. Okay. So you get through the start and you kind of out doing your thing. What are some things that you found to be the most challenging about that whole event? And I don't mean like, in the pit area, the nerves and the staging and kind of stuff, but I mean like once you're out and about, if we can put somebody else in your shoes that's thinking about doing it, but is like, am I good enough to do it? Am I not good enough to do it? If you could talk to yourself a few months ago, what are some things that you would say to yourself to be like, you can chill out about this. This is not a big deal. Maybe think about this.
So I'd say spend as much time as you can practicing the day before. Like that was my first time at Glen Helen.
Yeah.
So on the Friday, I should have spent even more time practicing. I should have went out with everybody. I was intimidated and didn't want to go to open practice because there's legit big deal people there. So I didn't want to get in people's way, but you paid your fee, you're out there to race. You're just as entitled to be out there as anybody else. So I think, talking to myself 3 months ago, get out there, race, get as much time as you can. That way I'd feel more comfortable on the track. Cause on practice day, I felt like I forgot how to ride a dirt bike. Like I wasn't cornering well. I wasn't shifting well. Nothing felt how it did weeks before.
And why do you think that is? Do you think that's just a mental thing? Do you think it was the dirt? Do you think it was like, what do you think?
All of the above. So definitely the mental thing played into it, but that's such an alien experience for me to be somewhere like that. I'm just used to Calgary dirt, or just hard pack stuff. So to get out there and ride in that kind of dirt, which handled very different. And I'm surprised how different dirt is. Like even as new as I am, I could tell there was a difference between that stuff, how it was kind of sandy versus what we've got here.
Yeah. And you had to, I mean, honestly, like without being overly dramatic about it, you really do have to ride the motorcycle completely differently, right? Like your body positioning has to be different. You have to use the throttle in different spots to corner properly,
For sure.
and all these things, right? So and I'm in the same boat as you. When I got there, I was like, holy, like I can't ride this thing to save my life, until I started to kind of figure out the sand. And even then I still struggled in it a bit. Whereas I think similarly, if we were there like a week early and I could go out and just put in hard motos at my own pace, I'd kind of figure it out as we go along, So yeah, I think you're probably spot on with that. Yeah.
Yeah. And then there's also just a whole bunch of stuff I've seen there, or that I saw there, that I haven't seen before. So
Like what? Name them.
hills, giant descents.
Well, and to be fair though, the Glen Helen, like that's in its own little world.
Yeah.
Like it's literally legendary for those hills.
Gotcha.
You won't find those at any other facility, at least no other, well-known bigger name facility anyway. So those are like, that's the whole challenge of Glen Helen, is how rough it gets in the hills.
And it would be like the roughness and some of the ruts and stuff. Like I try and ride through ruts. I steer for them because I suck at them. So that's what I want to work on when I'm at home. But those were kind of next level.
Yeah, there were some, like in the corners, there were some pretty deep, long ruts.
Yep.
Yeah. Speaking of which, bit of a side note, but I might as well bring it up while we're on the topic. At Wild Rose, they have a turn track down on the start straight, and those corners on the turn track are just like the corners at Glen Helen, like they're that deep. So you could go out, dude, and literally just spend an hour doing corners.
What's a turn track?
It's just a track, like there's no jumps or anything. Like you literally just zigzag around.
Oh, like I see on Instagram. Like the guys who lay down their bikes almost.
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah.
Cornering that well.
So there's a really cool turn track on there right now.
Nice. I'm going to have to check that out.
So as far as like improving your cornering, dude, like if you go there, let's say we go out riding and you're like, I'm going to spend an hour on the turn track and then an hour out on the actual track, your cornering will go through the roof.
Oh, that's awesome. Is that something I can do with the snow?
Oh yeah, that's what I mean. Like I was just on it today.
Oh, gotcha.
Yeah. I went out and did a few corners today.
Okay.
Yeah. Anyways, I digress. So yeah, absolutely. The ruts and the corners and stuff were pretty crazy on that. What else? What else did you find? Like, did you find the ruts the challenging, or was it the acceleration bumps out of the ruts, or like what was it in particular?
Those two, like, yeah, the acceleration and braking bumps were nuts. Like the ruts weren't terrible because you can just kind of go slow and put your foot down and like you're not flying through them, but rare that I tipped over in them. But yeah, the acceleration and the braking bumps, and well, you guys know, but we'll tell everybody else about my story going down the hill.
Yeah. Well, so, tell the people.
All right. So
I feel like this is really good because I feel like people that may be listening or watching this podcast can somehow put themselves in your shoes, because when I think of the world vets, I think of a bunch of legit smoking fast dudes. And yes, there are some people there that are crazy fast and talented. It's SoCal. Of course there are, right? But I also feel like there are some people around, like even in Calgary, that would have a blast down at an event like that, and I would encourage them to go. So I think just hearing your story, they may be like, oh, well, if that dude kind of felt like that, then maybe I should go, right?
Yeah, and I didn't even get last.
No, I know.
Like, how crazy is that?
Okay, so your downhill story. I just ripped on Tyler's headphone.
I thought I was going down for a second.
I saw your head do a bob. You recovered quickly.
I need my neck brace.
It's very tactical.
Intel suggests.
Yeah, Intel suggests I'm a hands talker. Okay, so downhill.
Okay, so this just speaks to how inexperienced I am. So I'm going down the downhills, and they're just getting beaten up. They're just gnarly. So I'm like, oh, how do I do this to make it better? I'll just sit down. And what a goat show that was. I
can't imagine doing that, dude.
I was getting so beaten up.
How do you sit and go down those hills? You were out of your mind.
I know, and I'd end up going faster. The brakes wouldn't work. The bike would slide sideways. The back end would slide out. I'm like, this sucks. How is anyone doing this?
You're literally doing it on the hardest mode possible.
Totally. So it wasn't until after my practice sessions I talked to you guys. I'm like, this is trash. I can't ride this tomorrow. And then you told me, you're an idiot. Stand up, get your back or your butt way back there, and did that in the first race. And what a difference that made.
Yeah.
So that just speaks to my inexperience. So,
but now.
I do,
right?
And I'll never forget that.
And now, even at our local tracks, or And a lot of times when I'm coaching, I really try to push when you're accelerating, get your weight over the front of the bike and squeeze really hard with your legs. And when you're braking, get your ass to the back of the bike, right? Get your elbows up and focus on having your weight placement in the right position. And that's exactly why, like whether you're coming down that hill into Glen Helen or your local track and you're braking hard into a corner, your body positioning does not change. The only difference maybe at Glen Helen would be, you know, you have these huge braking bumps that are trying to kick you down the hill. But aside from that, you know, reasonably speaking, your body positioning shouldn't change much. Yeah.
Yeah.
So that applies to all other tracks.
Awesome. Yeah, that's a good learning lesson. Won't forget that one.
Yeah. Okay, so we got the hills that were difficult, right? And they're notorious, so you can expect them to be difficult. The ruts were challenging for sure. Would you, and I know that this was a concern before we went, was there anything about the track that you found, because beforehand we were saying, you know, am I going to be able to make it around?
Yep.
Right? Was there anything about the track that was truly so hard that you could not even make it around?
No, dude. And if there wasn't 1,000 people racing on it or 1,100, it would have been an absolute blast. Like it just got torn apart because there were so many people.
Yeah, for sure.
So like if you were there just during the week, I'd imagine it'd be a little smoother.
Right.
But even with the shape the track was in, just had to slow down on some spots, and it didn't pose enough of a challenge that I couldn't make my way around.
Yeah. So I have a couple more points here.
Okay.
But that leads me into my next question, which is what did you find, like we talked about challenges, what did you find to be easier than you thought it was going to be? Like what were you maybe worried about and going into it that maybe applies to some other local track or even just specifically to Glen Helen? What were some things that you found that you're like, this isn't as hard as I thought it was going to be?
First and foremost, injuries. Like just going to races and seeing so many people get hurt. I was concerned that I might hurt myself, and I don't know, bills down there are pretty expensive for the hospital, I hear. So I really wanted to stay safe, and I rode within my skill level, and I had zero issues with that. So that was nice that wasn't as worrisome as I thought it would be. Right.
Yeah. And what are your thoughts, Ty? Like I have my own opinion on why people tend to get hurt when they're racing, and I'm sure everyone has their own opinion. What are your thoughts on that?
Yeah, it's just, well, naturally, right? The competitor comes out and you're like, you just want to push yourself better than everyone else. So it was like really cool to see from like my side, right? Where it's like, I always go to the races. I'm always the one racing, to actually sit back and like watch you guys have to like the mental game and like the prep, and like actually like see you guys like hold yourselves back just to make sure you get those safe laps in before you like actually learn the track and then start progressing. I was like, oh, like that's what we do, right? So
yeah,
completely like new experience for me on that side.
Yeah. I think a big thing for people when they get to any event, I mean, certainly it's probably highlighted by an event like that, minus I think if it wasn't the vet dudes, you know, that have a little more experience, and even the guys who are less experienced on a motorcycle, they have the life experience to go, I need to go to work on Monday. None of this is worth me crashing my brains out. So they back it down, right? But I think, you know, on any event, I think you get people, usually the younger dudes, right, that don't really understand the consequences of their actions. They're willing to send it a little more, and they get into some sketchy situations because their competitive side comes out, and they're, you know, they just kind of try to send it a little more, I think.
Yeah, with my my practice day, I was with the 25s, and geez, man, like some of those guys out of the gate were trying to race, and they were crashing in corners, pile ups. I'm like, dude, this is your first practice session. What are you doing?
Exactly. Yeah, and that's like any practice of any race, honestly. Like the first practice, dude, in the morning, like it's nothing but crashes because people are trying to win practice, right? And it's no different.
Yeah, you can see the people that have done it a while, when they come out, they just like literally start putting around the course and not crash right away.
Yeah.
So that's pretty cool.
Yeah, and that's where you see some of the experience for sure. You'll see the more experienced guys kind of take it slow, check out the track, the line, see what's, you know, how the dirt feels or whatever. And then they'll start wicking it up kind of lap after lap, right?
And like, well, even during the race, right, you'll see some of the seasoned guys, they'll go hard off the start, of course, right, like everyone else. But then it's like, okay, they kind of find their section, you can see them taper it back, and then they just start picking guys off, right? And then by the time the race is ended, they're still at like 9% of their racing capability.
Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah.
Yeah, and that's when you know you're racing in the right category too, right? Because I feel like a lot of people end up going into a class that maybe they shouldn't, and they override what their skill level's ability is, and just to maintain the pace of that class. You know what I mean?
Gotcha.
Yeah. I saw a thing recently. I think it was Jimmy Albertson. You know who that is?
No.
Ronnie Mack.
Oh yeah. Okay.
Yeah. So he was like a pro rider for a long time, and Supercross, all that kind of stuff. Anyway, I watched it. It was like a vlog of his where he ended up going back to Loretta Lynn's to race whatever vet class or whatever he was in, and but he talked about how like when you turn professional or when you go to the higher classes, you stop winning so many trophies because like moving up, it just collect hardware all the way up, right?
Yeah.
And then once you get into the ocean that is the expert or the pro class where there's a lot of fish, the hardware is a lot less frequent, right? Depending on who shows up that day and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah. And I think at an event too, like the World Vets, I know for a fact, you have guys that are pros that are going down a class, and you have guys that are the intermediate or experts and they're going down a class because they're trying to do well. Like I know for a fact, dudes that race intermediate or higher here will go into like novice, right? I can see the reasoning behind it being like, well, at a world event, the caliber rider should be higher. So maybe I do actually belong in a novice class. But at the same time, there's also that side of you just want to do well.
Yeah.
Right. So, I mean, what are your thoughts on that? You raced it.
I don't know, man. I was too far near the back to see what the fast people were doing. So yeah, I was happy with it. I thought it was fine.
That's it?
Yeah. Yeah, not a whole lot to it.
It's not a very sane answer.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Wow, it's very gray.
Yeah.
Totally. Get back to me in a year when I've got a little bit more experience and I'll have a better answer.
Okay. Tyler, how do you feel about this situation?
What was the question again?
Can you just repeat the question?
Race in your class or drop down a little bit.
Yeah, no, I don't know. Like, at least the type of person I am, I always want to like try to progress. So I'll always try to go to that next class and try racing against those top guys. Even if it's a world event, I'm like, how cool is it to go like try compete against those top names, right? Even though I'll probably get last at that time, I'm like, again, I can also like set the bar and be like, that's where I compare to, you know, that person. And then next year I can try to progress, right? Like, it's nice to bring home the bacon, but at the same time, it's like,
yeah, but
how do you get better, right? You got to race with those guys that are better.
Yeah, I mean, you're not even really bringing home bacon. You're just bringing home a piece of plastic,
Exactly.
right?
Yeah.
But to your point, though, like you're absolutely right, and I totally agree with you. If you go out with somebody and run a 5K, if you go out with somebody that's slower than you, yeah, hands down, you're going to beat them for sure, right? But if you go out and run a 5K with somebody who's much faster than you, then they're going to push you to another level that you weren't previously hitting. And I think kind of events are kind of along the same lines, right? Like even out at the track today, there's not a lot of people there that would challenge me speed-wise. Charlie was faster than me, but aside from that, whereas if I go to a place where there's a lot of people that are faster, right, then it makes me go, whew, like, okay, where are they better than me? And I'll watch them and I'll analyze them and see where they're better. How are they cornering? What lines are they taking? Because it's like, you know, I'll feel a section that I'm really struggling with, and then I'll go and I'll just stand there and watch them. I'm like, oh, that's how they're getting through that so clean. And then it builds a data file in the mind, and I apply that, and sure enough, I'll get a little quicker, you know?
So I just think it's cooler that somebody's legitimately racing pro than, and yeah, they can come in last place or whatever. I think it's cooler that they're racing that than getting first place in beginner, junior, novice, whatever.
Yeah, I mean, really, if you get, you know, first in novice or whatever it is, and I'm not trying to take anything away from someone who got first in novice, like that's really, really cool. But if you should be an expert or intermediate, then that's not so cool.
Yeah, if you're a legit novice and you get first place, that's awesome.
Yeah,
good
like
for you.
If it's a hard fight and you barely got it or whatever that looks like, that's very cool. But if you're like way ahead of people,
2 weeks ago you were racing like expert or something down there.
Yeah, exactly, right? I don't know, that's just how I feel about it, but
I agree.
Yeah. So as far as training for next year goes, what are your thoughts? What is there to work on? Where do we go from here?
I need more races under my belt.
Yeah, that's definitely one for sure.
But I think it's all just the basic skills, the cornering, that kind of stuff.
Just getting laps in.
Totally.
Seat time, yeah.
Yeah, I need a lot more of that.
Yeah. That's it. Very gray today.
Yeah, I'm just thinking.
You need some rocket fuel or something.
I've got some here. I'm just haven't finished it yet.
You do 2 scoops?
1.5.
Oh, that's the problem right there.
Yeah, I hear you.
Yeah, I think, for me personally, go ahead. What were you going to say, Ty?
Oh, no, I was just like, did we actually do the intro?
We did.
Oh, we did?
Yeah, I did. Yeah.
Again, I did not hear that.
Yeah, well,
Sorry.
he's muted. You're muted. You're fired.
Yeah.
But I think for me, what, it's really hard to try and prepare for an event like that, because how do you duplicate those conditions, right? We're extremely fortunate in that the local facility that we have doesn't get that rough, because they do an amazing job of grooming it.
Yes.
But we also don't have those hills, right?
Yeah.
So what were you going to say, Rick?
I'll
forgot.
let you finish. Yep.
He forgot.
Yep.
I paused and he forgot.
Doesn't
So,
take much.
But I think for me personally, going to the track near the end of the day when it is burnt out and it is super rough and there's deep ruts and braking and acceleration bumps, which, put it in context, they don't even compare to what Glen Helen
No,
is.
they
Like,
don't.
not even close, right? So learning to get really comfortable on those and learning exactly how to set your suspension up and all that kind of stuff, that's going to put you in a better spot for sure.
Like, it felt like some of those braking bumps and acceleration bumps were like a whoop section. It was ridiculous.
Yeah, some of them are pretty aggressive. Yeah. And then another thing is, getting outside of what you're used to too. So
Absolutely.
like going down to Raymond, I know, like, say if you go in like March or so, and if people don't know what Raymond is, like near Lethbridge, Alberta, there's a town called Raymond and they have a track there.
Temple Hill. I think.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah. And it's pretty sandy, and anytime I've ever been there is literally the first day they open in the spring, and it hasn't been groomed in like a year.
Except for that one time you went, you called her quits in the afternoon and they showed up and groomed it right after.
Totally. Yeah. Literally, as I'm driving out, the dozer's going on, right? So anytime I've ever been there, it has been incredibly rough. And that's the closest I've ever seen to Glen Helen. Okay. So I'm actually looking forward to, I'm going to go down there repeatedly for a couple weekends and just try and ride that. And I know that's actually what a few dudes did before they headed down to Cali this year.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, they went and rode Raymond for a little bit to get used to that.
Okay. So I show up at the track. Don't go for the really nice groom track. Go for yesterday's leftovers.
To an extent, though. Okay. Like, because when the track gets dried out, that's a different surface too, right? Because it's now the ground's super, super hard and it's super slippery and it's got ruts. Like, it's just not that enjoyable to ride.
Gotcha.
Yeah. I would say you can still learn a lot from it, but I would say if you go at the end of the day, like if they close at 4 or 6 or whatever, right? If you show up at like 2 or 3 and try and ride for a couple hours, the track's going to be pretty rough by then. And that's probably where you're going to learn a lot.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I think just getting to different tracks, getting out of my comfort zone would help a lot too.
Yeah. And even that too, like we have, a few tracks around here within a reasonable driving distance, but I feel like those, like, if you look at like Rocky or Drum, love them, super fun to ride at, but they don't teach you anything about riding at a place like Glen Helen.
No.
So I think going out and finding some sand tracks that are whipped out and stuff like that, where you're just getting beat to crap for your entire moto. That's really the goal of it, honestly.
Yeah.
How do we figure out the hill for me? Like what kind of options do we have for training that?
Oh, I can find you hills.
Oh yeah, finding the
single
hills
track
ain't the
stuff?
question.
That's an easy one.
Yeah. Finding shorter-ish hills like that are whooped out though. That's a little different.
Okay.
For sure.
Find yourself.
Yeah.
We just got to go to Cali again. That's where I need to practice.
Yeah.
Oh,
so this is just all lining up to need to go to California.
Yeah.
Yeah. Which would be fun. I think next year I'd like to get a couple more days of riding in before we go.
For sure.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, that was the other thing. It's like you guys didn't even ride the week before.
Yeah, that's right.
With all the weather that was happening here.
Yeah.
So it was like I think it was like 8 days off the bike. Then you guys drove 24 hours straight.
Yeah.
Pretty much got there and it's like unload and then ride. So like, at least my experience from like doing long hauls is like, Yeah, you can still hop out and like start riding your bike, but your body is not the same. It's not loose, and it like takes a little bit for it to actually get worked in again. So
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, that's definitely a part of it. Yeah. What are your thoughts on the whole experience, dude? Ty?
it was amazing. Like it'd been cool to like drive as well. Flying was pretty snazzy.
Cop out. Just
Well,
cheater.
Apparently, you guys would take Harry, but you guys wouldn't take me across the border.
Yeah, I guess.
You also don't play me.
Harry's a celebrity.
He is.
He gives us street cred.
They didn't even ask for his passport.
Nope. Just took one look at him and they're like, you belong.
Exactly. No, I absolutely loved it. I can't wait to go back next year. And same, like I want to go down there for a little bit longer, do more tracks, and just enjoy that part of the country.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I learned yesterday from Charlie over at CJR Suspension. Shout out to Charlie. I learned yesterday that Kauai Creek has a long loop section. It's like a 40-minute loop.
Oh, no way.
Yeah, so I'm like super excited about doing that, dude. That would be so much fun. Ricky looks nervous. He's like, well, it can't be that
We got a
hard.
full year to prep.
Yeah, fair enough.
It can't be that hard. Whatever they have there, I'm sure it's not that bad. It's like just rocks and like
Ledges.
sand.
Yeah, and I got into dirt biking to ride on rocks. So
This is true.
perfect.
Yes.
Yeah, let's go.
Yeah. Any other thoughts about the event as a recap?
Not really. Like everyone down there, like the whole atmosphere, like all the locals were super friendly, which was nice.
Oh,
And especially in San Bernardino.
yeah.
Yeah.
Poop hole.
Great locals.
Poop hole.
Some
There's some
intel
gravity
was
wells.
missed on certain parts of our trip, which will probably be released in the videos. But besides that, everything outside that intel section it was quite nice.
Yeah. So just for people who are listening or watching, if you're not familiar with the area, do not stay in San Bernardino. Not a very snazzy place.
So they get you with the nice looking hotels and the cheap hotel prices compared to other areas.
And the cookies when you sign up for the hotel.
See, we never got our cookie
Yeah,
though.
what happened?
They were warm.
This is
hot fudge.
BS.
Almond.
That sounds good.
Oh, yeah.
You guys
There was an
lost.
IHOP close by though,
Yes,
amongst
there
all the
was.
criminal activity.
Did we go to IHOP every day?
We did.
I think there was one day we didn't go. I
Well, that's
forget which
because
day it
you
was.
said you were too full. I was game.
I can't
sent you a
remember what
text
day it
and
was.
you're like, oh, it's getting
Was it
pretty
Saturday?
late.
Maybe it must have been Saturday because
Yeah, it was Saturday.
Sunday we went out to TGI Fridays or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
That's still pretty good.
Yeah, tasty.
yeah, which was decent. Yeah, yeah. So San Bernardino poop hole.
Yeah. It's an awesome place when SWAT shows up to stay at your
Yeah.
hotel.
Yeah.
2 different SWAT teams. Like, don't be here.
Yeah,
This place is bad.
they legit. That like we went over to talk to them and they're like, why are you staying here? Like, oh, okay, well this is a good start.
What was that one place he said? Cucamonga or Cucamongo? Like, that is not a place.
I don't know, something like
I will,
that. Yeah.
I will not stay there because it doesn't exist, and I'm not going to ask somebody where
Yeah.
Cucamongo is.
You didn't get me today.
Seeing Jeremy's face when we went to Target and everything's like locked up with toothpaste and like toothbrushes, and he's like, "Are these actually locked?" And he like goes to shake it, and the lady walks around. He's like, "I just had to check." Oh boy.
That's not suspicious at all. Hey.
Yeah.
Wow.
Oh.
There's a guy there wearing like Crips colors, shaking the cabinet. She comes around. I just had to check. Wow. There's one last thing I would like to touch on about the Glen Helen thing. I would like to settle this debate because I heard at least, and not exaggerating, at least 10 to 15 different opinions on this over the course of 3 to 4 days down there. When we got down there on the Friday practice day, right? The track by the end of that day got rough.
Oh, it was brutal. Yeah.
Right. When we started on Saturday, was it any worse?
No.
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 Now, I can tell you when I rode on Sunday, mine was the second last moto on Sunday. So when the track should be at its absolute 100% worst, right? It was still no rougher than any other day. So I just want to put this to rest. The people say, oh, it's the best it's ever going to be, and it's going to be super rough and all this thing. BS. They groom it every day. It's flat when you get there, and then it just gets rough throughout the day like any other track that gets groomed. I think we can agree on that.
And didn't they groom a little bit Sunday afternoon too?
That's actually
Yeah,
true.
they
Yeah. I
did
forgot
groom
about
a
that.
lot,
They
yeah.
did actually groom it mid-race. now to be fair, that's, some of the jumps get a little sketchy. So they're trying to take like the kickers out of the face and stuff like that. So, if it's a pro race, they probably wouldn't be doing that. But they're trying to keep it safe, right? Which is what they should do 100%. Yep. But that being said, they didn't groom the corners or any of the downhills or any of that stuff. They left all of that alone. They just touched up some of the faces to make it safe. But all of this, it's like, it's been way worse, or it's going to get so much worse, and all this nonsense. I would like to settle once and for all. It was the same level of roughness every day.
Yeah.
It didn't get any worse. Yep. It's just rough. Like it literally, it couldn't get worse, because then it's not even rideable. Like, you'd have people crashing all over the place because you just can't even get around the track. You know what I mean?
Yep.
Thoughts?
No, I totally agree. Well, at least from my side, it was very consistent in that aspect.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I agree.
Yeah,
Ricky,
me too.
another gray answer?
Yeah.
Well, you never know, Mitch.
Too long.
Could have been worse. Could have been better. No. It seemed like it was about the same. It didn't get any worse than that.
So if people are heading down there and they're freaked out because it's Glen Helen gets super rough, and then some dude comes up and is like, dude, it's going to get crazy rough. Yeah, it is crazy rough. Don't get me wrong. It's a beat up track by the end of the day.
But if I can get around it, so can you.
Totally.
I sat down going downhill for 2 practice sessions. Like, come on. If I can survive it, you can probably do well.
Yeah, it doesn't get so bad that you can't make it around the track. And it's still fun. Even when it's beat up, it's still fun.
I had a blast. Looking back, it was an experience like nothing else. It'll be tough to top that or even match that.
Totally. Yeah. So there was an old pro guy that came up, and I was talking to him, and he's like, oh no, it's been way worse than this. And I'm like, really? Because I don't think it could get much worse than this, dude, while still being able to want people to pay to ride here, right? Like, it really, I mean, could you turn it into some abomination? I'm sure you could, but no one would ever pay to ride there, right? So it's not going to get that bad. But then I talked to another local dude who was like, oh yeah, I'm here like 2 times a week or whatever. And he's like, it's never been this bad. So, and he's like, I'm a novice rider. He goes, I've only been riding a couple years kind of thing. So I felt like he's being pretty honest with his answer, Yep. But anyway, for anyone wondering, yes, it gets rough, but it's still rideable. And a super fun course.
Oh, absolutely.
Like, if I could ride that all the time, dude, oh my God, like, what a fun layout. The hills and the corners, and it's super fun, man. Super safe too, really.
Yep. And just remember, don't be a puss. You've got a helmet on.
I heard that once. I'm gonna hold you to that next year, because guaranteed, we're gonna see that again.
Yes,
guaranteed we will. In Vendor Row.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Same thing to Tyler when he's on the line. I'm gonna walk up. Don't be a puss. Get a helmet on.
It does actually help. I'm not gonna lie.
I should have.
Did someone say that? Like,
It does not help.
yeah, at least like Supermoto.
Well, that's a bunch of weirdos anyway. So
yeah, right. I'd get so tense
disqualified.
because I have so much traction. I'm like, what's going on here? And then literally my buddy would just say that, and I'm like, oh, and I just go out there and start beating him again. I'm like, yes,
because you had a little internal dialogue.
yeah.
Because you saw the T-shirt on Vendor's Row.
I didn't see the T-shirt actually. That's the first time I actually heard it.
Oh, gotcha.
But
Now,
I usually
are you wishing you had a T-shirt?
I do.
I'm gonna get you a
Can I
sticker.
put a bumper sticker on the back?
I was gonna get a sticker for the back of your helmet. Don't be a puss.
Yeah.
Get a helmet.
What's with people racing in just T-shirts?
What? Say that again.
What's with people racing in just T-shirts?
It's hot, bro.
Yeah, man.
Okay.
Dude, it's hot. It's the desert, bro.
We showed up in the mornings when we were in T-shirts and shorts.
Is that like, I am so good at riding, I'm just going to throw on a T-shirt?
No, that's
the guys
like-
that I saw doing it were
like a-
flying.
Yeah, but it's more of like a loosey-goosey, like they're just laid back. It's like a laid back thing, right? You'd be hard pressed to find like Eli Tomac riding in a T-shirt,
Well, maybe he should. Might get better.
Maybe he would be faster. To be fair,
faster.
yeah, I don't know.
Yep.
Yeah.
Saves weight.
Are you gonna ride in a
Less air
T-shirt next year?
Yeah. I
How about
know just the one.
T-shirt, no pants.
Sure.
Well, so
Do you want to make another bet? We're going to make another bet where you have to wear no pants for your moto.
Is there anything in the rules that say you have to wear pants?
Nope. Helmet and boots.
That's it.
Yeah, and probably goggles. Well,
yeah,
even then.
yeah, and at least AMA rules, you have to start with goggles.
Right,
As soon as the gate
right.
drops, you can whip them off.
Oh, man.
Now, here's the one disappointment about this trip.
I know what you're going to say. I know he's going to say that. I knew it.
Oh, yeah.
I knew it. I forgot to bring the, what's it called again?
Tutu. Yeah.
Forgot to bring the tutu for Ricky.
You were supposed to wear it.
I would have.
No, you would. You lie.
No,
I'm gonna, dude. That tutu is going into a bin that's marked Glen Helen 2023, and I will leave it stacked up and will not forget it next year.
Absolutely. Let's go.
I probably will forget it. To be full disclosure, I'll probably forget
Just put it in your glove box.
My glove box. You know how weird that'll be when I get pulled over? Sir, your registration. I pull out a pink tutu.
and that's when he shakes his head. He's like, just go.
Yeah, we're not even gonna deal with you guys.
Yeah.
Gets you out of a ticket. Boom.
I guess, eh?
Mm-hmm.
Then it's worth it. Yeah. Sweet. Well, any last thoughts on the Glen Helen event? Gray answer. Insert gray answer.
Oh, dude,
Tyler,
it was
anything?
So good. It was so good.
Fun.
Okay. Well, I guess I'm going to bring this one home for the people.
So as super lame as this is, it was the company that really made the trip. Thanks, guys.
Wow.
I do appreciate all the support and help and just getting me there, coaching, mentoring.
He's gray for the last 45 minutes, and then he busts out a real heartfelt.
Yeah.
Rocket fuel's kicking in now.
Totally.
Wow.
Yep. So thanks, guys.
Yeah, I mean, you're all right.
Was there somebody else on the trip?
You're all right. There's lots of people.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, Jeremy. Thanks.
That's right.
Yep.
Thought there's one more.
Yeah. But truly, thank you for being like an amazing mechanic.
Oh, thanks for having me, guys.
Like legit, I come off the track and I'm looking for my stand because I'm like, right, another ride, and bike gets taken from me, gets whisked away to get washed. My helmet gets cleaned off. It's full of gas. Like, dude, you've set the bar, unfortunately.
Oh yeah.
So this is what's expected now because I cannot compete unless I have that level of attention.
Totally. If somebody's not wiping his helmet, he sends it back.
Yeah. If somebody's not, exactly. Send it. I don't back in the van. I don't know where it's going to go, but I'm sending it.
Sending it back.
Air freshener in it next time too. But also
One of those little hand ones.
Yeah, just little Febreze.
Yeah. Yeah. If you could Febreze my cheek pads, that would be all right. You got to be fresh.
Absolutely.
You want to feel fresh while you're out on the line.
Stay fresh.
Yeah.
This is the experienced pro tips that people don't know about. Febreze your cheek pads.
Shane got some real good treatment. I was like carrying his water bottle and everything, helping him out.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow. That's next level.
You guys didn't ask for that.
I didn't know we could.
Yeah, I didn't know it was on the table. Yeah.
I was doing hill sprints, trying to get videos. Big thanks to all the other Canadians as well, especially Brian for letting us use his pressure washer.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah,
Yeah, shout out, man, for helping us out with that for sure.
That was awesome.
And like all the other Canadians crushed it out there too, right? Like,
man, what a crazy Canadian turnout there was, huh?
Dude, I got a ton of video of people racing. Can you
like
get it to me?
360 something videos?
Yeah, there's
That's
a lot.
problem.
Yeah, I'm like, I don't think I got that many. I was supposed to vlog this stuff on the trip, which I did a terrible job.
Can you
on,
divvy it out to people?
What is that?
Can you?
I should people. I'm like, okay.
Can you make sure it gets to people?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. Whatever race that was, if you raced in it, there will be video of you. So.
Mary Gray. Whatever race it was, if you were in it, there will be video.
Okay, if you were a Canadian with a jersey on and you raced, I'll have video.
See, that's better.
Yeah, boom.
It's good.
Yep.
We're gonna have to start this podcast over now because that was very gray.
What episode was this, Mitch?
Who knows?
21.
Give up.
Okay, bye everyone.
Bye.